greedy. That's fine.
I did not say receive the gifts, you douchebag.
Just say no. Can't cast that spell anymore. Just say no. Just say no to mana to slam the door. Island don't care what you've got to say.
Fuck you, counterspells.
Let the storm count rage on. Your spells never bothered me anyway. It's pretty solid.
Screw that. Because as soon as you...
Thank you, Adam number 2, for your suggestion and writing it out.
Yeah, I know why you wrote it out. Why I made sure that you
hate on that counterspell. Yeah, not so serious. Got a little serious on you.
Let it go. Frozen.
Yeah, what version?
What do you mean, what version?
There's 2 ladies that sing it. There's the radio version, and then there's the one on the movie.
I don't know. The movie.
I went with the Mendez version, I think.
So you don't even know.
No, I don't know.
Son of a bitch.
Igna? I'm in trouble.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, you're supposed to write that down.
Yeah, well, since it was given to me, I didn't do any of the work. From Frozen. We'll say it's from Frozen. Disney owns the rights, I'm sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Welcome to CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I am Adam Smith.
And I am Lowry Smith.
And don't worry, we're cousins.
We are cousins.
I was going to do our whole little bit of
yeah,
cousins and all that fun stuff. Hey, Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas. This will be our Christmas episode that will deal with basically no Christmas.
Well, our
colors.
Our colors, our core card for Commander.
We're going to do red and green.
Red and green for
That's
Christmas.
That's so
colors.
Christmas colory.
And I think to kick off the season, I think you have a gift for me, Lowry.
No, I have a gift for us.
Oh, okay. It's for us. It's going to be so just a little behind the scenes thing. We're actually doing 2 episodes today.
Yeah.
We'll have this main episode, and then we'll have kind of a secondary episode that'll go next week. Don't know how many people will actually listen because, Christmas is going on and everything.
Yeah.
Well,
this week we're going to do red green core cards for Commander. We're going to do the spoilers that are out currently, and then we'll kind of end it with
whoa.
Huh?
We were wrong.
Nah, damn it. We could avoid that at the beginning and just add it in.
We have another we were wrong, and of course
Are you going to open our present?
Okay, sorry, our present. Let's see. Oh, it's Game of Thrones. Wiener. Nice. I have to have the Mother of Dragons. This is
We're
awesome.
splitting them all. We're doing that all tonight.
All?
Yeah,
there's 4 of them. Holy balls.
Yeah, and there's a glass in the middle.
That is awesome. Sweet. That is a good pickup. We got freaking Game of Thrones in a couple months here, too. Well, let's crack it open here. So what do we got? What's all in there?
Let's start off with Hand of the Queen, and then I think we'll just move forward, because we'll bleed into this to episode 46 with these.
Yeah. So, like Larry said, this episode, we got the spoilers, core cards for Commander, green and red, Christmas colors. A little bit of We Were Wrong, and then Smith's Specs of the Week. While he's opening that, I'll do our little sounder stuff. You guys can follow us on Twitter at CommanderSmiths. You can shoot us emails. We've been getting lots of suggestions, emails. That's how Larry got that song. Also, you can check us out on YouTube at CommanderSmiths. We're getting a lot of people on there making comments and all that fun jazz. Every comment is appreciated, so keep doing that. That's awesome that you guys are doing that. Makes us feel warm and special, especially this time of year. So, what are we starting off with first, Lowry?
This one's pretty fuzzy.
Yeah, Larry gives a lot of head here.
This is from Omegang. This is going to be Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. It's a sour blonde ale blend.
Ooh, a sour.
6.4% alcohol.
Ooh.
Cheers.
Lowry might be spending the night tonight.
Maybe.
I don't taste the sour as much.
It's a little sour, but no fruit flavor to it. But it's not bad.
Yeah,
not bad for the first one. I'm glad that I randomly chose this one.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. I'm excited for the other ones. It's going to be awesome. So, yeah, why don't we, what else? Oh, but yeah, Merry Christmas, by the way.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Do you have plans?
Those of you that don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There are a bunch of holidays out there that we know nothing about.
And I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm not religious at all.
Is a holiday,
and I celebrate Christmas because I just do it more for the giving gifts and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, pretty greedy. That's fine.
I did not say receive the gifts, you douchebag. Giving gifts. Pretty greedy. Fucker.
Your face was so shocked.
That was
worth it.
nice. Yeah,
it was worth it. I was calling you greedy no matter what you said.
Anyways, yeah. So what are your plans for Christmas and everything?
Going over, we have the big family Christmas
Smith
on
Christmas. More
Sunday. Yeah, there's more of us. If you,
there's a lot more.
And honestly, we're not the most entertaining ones. Like, there's a couple that like juggle and type rope and shit like that.
Yeah. Tight rope. They type. And then
I am so drunk already. This beer.
They type rope.
Yeah. There's a bunch of fun ones out there.
So
climbing.
So you got that on
Sunday.
We got that on Sunday.
Yeah.
And
so
then, do you guys do anything Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve, we're going to go over to my wife's family.
Okay.
And then Christmas Day, we'll go over to my mother's house.
Nice.
So it's 3 days. It's
mine starts tomorrow.
Marathon. Yeah.
So we have my stepmom's family Christmas. So that's going to be all the way in Somerset, which is about, from where I am right now, is about an hour and change away. Yeah. And then we got Smith Christmas on Sunday, and then we got Cindy's family's Christmas is Christmas Eve. That's like that one's awesome. The other ones aren't. I'm not knocking those down, but this one, it's all appetizers. So basically, everybody brings a bunch of appetizers. We drink, eat, and we open Christmas presents early. And then there's
You're
round
super happy
two.
about you opening the presents, right?
Exactly, me. Then there's round 2 of appetizers, and then we go back to opening Christmas presents, and we get done there, come back home. We'll have a Christmas.
When do you have like a meal?
That's our meal. It's all appetizers. It's my favorite.
If I want to have appetizers, I go to Applebee's.
There's like 15 different appetizers, and we make it for like 40 people when there's only like 7 of us. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. But then we have Christmas Day.
Is it bacon?
We'll probably do some bacon wrap little smokies with.
Can you bring me some?
Maybe
in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, right, when they're really good. Yeah. So then Christmas Day, we open our presents, and then we get on a plane and we go to Disney World. We're bringing the boys. That's part of their Christmas present. Taking the boys to Disney World.
That'd be awesome.
Then we stay there for a couple days, and we go down to where my mom is, one of our properties in Florida. Stay with her, or visit her for Christmas. And then Cindy's birthday is New Year's Eve. So then New Year's, we're staying there, and we come back on the 1st. So that's why we're recording 2 episodes
tonight, because you got a lot of stuff going on. And I was gonna say, for Disney, was it Disneyland in Florida there?
Disney World.
The time that I went was not the time to go.
Well, we
which
went.
Is
remember?
when you're like 20. That's
when we
sucks.
went.
You have no money.
Do you remember that? That was
It was awful.
We stayed we slept on the floor of your dad's hotel room.
Yeah, and we bought a Captain Morgan for New Year's, and it was like $40 for a quart, and we split it between way too many of us, and then we spilled half of it.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid.
That was awful.
The good thing about when we went, though, was no lines. You remember that?
Sure.
There was barely any lines, and so I don't know.
I slept half the day because we were on the floor, and I was so tired.
It was pretty bad.
So don't go when you're 20. Bring your kids when they're younger.
Yeah. So it should be fun. Zeke is a little young. He's almost 2, but I think he it's crazy. That kid watches movies, and Drake they both started watching movies at the same time. So Drake is 4 now. Are you going to give me some more beer?
Yeah.
But they started watching movies about 6-7 months ago, and Zeke can sit through a freaking whole movie. So it's pretty crazy. He knows his characters and all that fun stuff.
My little guy can barely sit through a book.
Well, books are a little different too. We read books, and they're running around and Drake's naked. He's like, "I'm naked." He doesn't call it naked. It's with an M. It's naked.
Naked?
Yeah.
He's making it.
So so that's why we're doing 2 episodes here. Should we just jump right into things here? Get into our spoilers, because spoilers did start kind of last week. We started our podcast, but we were like, we'll wait till there's a little bit more.
So it's not just like talking about 4 last week, 4 this week. Now we have 8-ish. Probably
a little more than that.
Yeah.
Well, did we have the Shocklands by last week? We can start off with those.
We knew they were happening.
We knew they were happening, but the art was pretty sweet with those.
So sweet.
I'm very happy that the Shocklands are going to be there. I'm going to finally finish all my play sets of those, because I have at least 1 copy for our rule, but I do want to have a play set.
Yeah, and if you don't have them, definitely go out and get them for your collection. They're very good lands. They have 2 land types. So Blood Crypt is for red and black. It's a swamp and a mountain. Creates a swamp on a mountain, and then if it comes into play untapped, you're paying 2 life. Otherwise, it comes into play tapped.
And actually, I think I like Hallowed Fountain's
Art?
visually. Yeah, the art is really
Hallowed
sweet.
Fountain, which is the white-blue one. And so you're also going to get the black-white, the green-blue, and the red-green. But I would agree the white-blue one looks really awesome.
And that's pretty much those are our guilds for this. And then we knew that coming into this, that this is all the rest of the guilds that are finishing out here for this set. So why don't we jump into what they started kind of doing this week was different than I've seen it before. They're more showing off 2 to 3 cards from each guild and kind of the new mechanics. They didn't go full spoiler season on it like they tend to do. They kind of just were like,
I think
hey,
they're getting
Christmas
a little
is
like,
coming.
don't forget about us before the new year, because again, I think our lowest numbers are going to be next week, because this
and
is
we're not going to produce shitty shit though. We're still going to have a good episode.
It's going to be
in there.
amazing.
But you're going to miss my song, which this is the first time I'm going in my song. I'm like, I fucking love this song because Cindy helped me write it. But yeah, so we have. Well, should we start off?
Yeah.
Start off with our stuff from today. So the most recent stuff.
You can read that one.
Which one?
The
incubation
split card,
and what is it?
Yeah, it's a sideways one. Incongruity.
I think both of these are pretty damn good, actually. So the incubation is kind of like, what do we think? It's more like looking at the top cards of your library.
My example earlier was wrong. It's commune with nature. That's pretty much what this is.
So it's either green or blue, and you can look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from them and put it into your... God, this is so hard to read.
And put it into your hand.
Put it into your hand, and then put the others in the bottom of your library in a random order. And that is a sorcery. The other one, it's tap 1 green and a blue, and this is an instant. You can exile target creature... basically like a Pongify. You give them a 3/3. This one's a green frog.
Well, it's a mix because it's also an exile to whereas
where
Pongify just destroys.
But you get 1 more mana cost to be able to cast this. So instead of...
Well, it'll be 2 more.
Is it Pongify?
Pongify is 1 blue,
that's right. You're
and
right.
incongruity here is 3. Colorless, green, and blue.
But you have the both options of each card here, which is pretty sweet. So I think this is and it's an uncommon. So that's pretty sweet.
The ability to do both, like... Do I need to go and find a creature? This will help me dig. Or do I need to exile this creature? That'll also help you. I think this is really versatile.
When we get to green-blue for our core cards for Commander, this could be something that makes its way in there. We'll see so with our core cards...
We'll see from like a year from now.
Yeah. That's how long it takes. But... with our core cards, we kind of broke it down. At least with green-red, it may change when we get into other ones, but it's to top 10s.
Us guys. We're always different. We're always switching. Whatever's easiest for us, we're going to do it.
So there wasn't a lot for red-green. I mean, we had probably if we really total up, it was probably like 20, 15 to 20.
Yeah, I didn't like half my list.
Yeah, so we got it to 10. But anyways, all right, let's move into the next card.
So next one is going to be Sphinx's Insight. 2 colorless, a white and a blue instant. You get to draw 2 cards. New keyword, addendum, which is if you cast this spell during your main phase, you gain 2 life.
So can I tell you something really funny when we were kind of discussing this beforehand?
Okay.
You were like, I don't know about addendum. And with real estate, we deal with addendums all the time.
All the time. That's where.
And so when you said addendum, and I just had our closing today on our new land that we're going to be building, I was like, what?
You have flashback to work?
No, I totally was like, why is he talking about like the addendum? I was like, how did he know about my closing? Like, it really took me a second. You're like, oh yeah, that's the mechanic. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it totally works here too. Like, what is an addendum in your... Like it's an addition to
so you have your purchase agreement that you write and you're like, I want to buy this house for this. Everybody agrees on it, but then you need to change something. So an addendum is adding it to it. So let's say you need to add a person onto your purchase agreement.
And so here, the addendum is an extra ability onto whatever the spell is being cast. So, and for me, drawing 2 cards at instant speed isn't a bad thing. Like Chemister's Insight from the last set is a pretty solid card with Jumpstart here. Now, and gaining the 2 life can be relevant. Like if you're in a life gain deck, it's almost better that way. Or
I would use the other one with the Jumpstart more than this one.
I really like the Jumpstart one though.
Jumpstart is freaking awesome. But the next one, which is I love this one a lot. But it's this is a commander card right here. But Emergency Powers, it's a mythic, 5 white and blue, so 7 freaking mana. And just think of it as Wheel of Fortune for everybody. Well, Wheel of Fortune is everybody.
No. Wheel of Fortune only does hands. This does hands and graveyards.
Oh, it is graveyard too.
Yeah, this is more like Time Spiral.
Yeah, so each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library. I probably should have just read it first instead of just saying what it was.
It's like...
Yeah, it's like, but it isn't. Then draw 7 cards, exile emergency powers. It also has addendum, so if you have this in your hand, if you play it on your main phase, you can cast something from your hand that costs 7 or less, and put it onto the battlefield. Is it a permanent? Yes. So it can't be a spell. It has to be a permanent.
Cost 7 or less
right.
from your hand into the battlefield.
So it can't be like an instant or a sorcery that costs 7 or less as well. It has to be a permanent that stays on the battlefield. Yeah. So here's the thing that I like about it. It's 7 mana, which sucks, but it is an instant. So you wait until it's about to be your turn. Everybody's played their cards. They have what they want in their hands. They're about, everybody's setting their stuff up. You cast this, you bring, you untap all your stuff, and you get a brand new 7 cards of hand. Everybody else's hands are shuffled in too. They get brand new cards. But you're playing Commander. Most people are tapped out, trying to utilize their turn as much as possible. This is fucking awesome. Even with, I love Wheel of Fortune, you're still tapping 3 of your mana.
3 to do it. Yeah, I mean, the thing that I like your analysis of this card, and I think the addendum is kind of like a little bit weak for that part of it.
I just like the everything above that.
But if you are Hail Marying, like you're like, I gotta win this turn, I gotta do something, or I need to get something out of somebody's hand, like they went and tutored for it, you gotta get rid of it now. Maybe that's the way you kind of do it. Another thing, like let's say you're like, I can win if I am able to find Karn and put it into play, Karn Liberated. And you're able to go and get that Walker and put it directly into play. That could swing a game pretty heavy, but you're kind of Hail Marying at that point.
Well, here's my other thing is you're casting, it costs 7 mana.
Mm-hmm.
So the 7 cards you're going to draw, you should be able to cast almost anything from your hand.
You're hoping. Yeah, the next turn.
You have, well, no, I'm just saying if you're holding on to it until it's about to be your turn.
Yeah.
And you're holding up 7, which is what also has a 7 casting cost that's in blue?
Karn.
That's in blue?
Oh, in blue? Oh, Cyclonic Rift?
Yeah, so you can also be faking a threat of you have a Cyclonic Rift, so people aren't necessarily doing things, whatever. Or you do what Lowry does, which just could backfire if I have this card. Lowry's going to go, well, let's make him use it. So I just
make him use it earlier than he wants.
I don't have it. Lowry, stop it. Don't. I don't have it.
I hate it when people try and bluff a card or try and be like, well, I'm going to do this. It's like, well, I'm going to fucking make you do it.
I always have it.
That's because that's what you do. Like if they're trying to bluff it, then you either force them to use it or you ruin their bluff. If somebody has Cyclonic Rift, don't let them use it at the right before their turn, because then they get all of the advantage. If they bounce everybody's stuff on the first person versus the second or third person, 2 other people get to replay their stuff and they're pissed.
Right.
So that's my philosophy on that.
So, but this also had, like I was saying, you're keeping up 7 mana. You could be threatening that, whatever. You can do some political stuff with that and all that fun stuff. But just the fact that it's an instant, I don't think you could make this any lower casting cost because of it being an instant. You know what I'm saying? Like if they made it a 3, a white, and a blue, even if you left out the addendum part, I think that's still way too low,
For me, again, we're kind of spending a lot of time on this because it is an interesting card. But okay, let's go back to your Wheel of Fortune or just that style of card, Windfall. Any of those cards, the nice thing about them being cheap is that you can kind of do them early. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I like to do is try and play out my hand as quick as possible and have other people, if they have like 4, 5, 6 cards in their hand, then you're gaining that advantage where you are able to get everything out because everybody's drawing 7 cards. Here, in my mind, everybody could be around 2, 3 cards because you're at 7 mana, and then you're just filling everybody's hands up. And that, to me, is a detriment.
But that's why I was saying you do it right before your turn.
Sure.
Most people are tapped out.
You would get ahead in that regard, but if somebody's sitting around 2 or 3...
Like you also mentioned, if they went and tutored up for something.
Sure, yeah.
And you know what they went and got. Well, this is an instant, and you're able to just boom right out of their hand, unless they can play it at instant speed as well. Most of the time, I mean, they're looking for a creature. Sure. What if it's like, all right, I'm going to get Craterhoof Behemoth to win this game, and you're just like, oh, guess what?
I got to make sure that you get rid of that.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing either, because the instant speed is much better when considering like a windfall at sorcery speed.
Right.
Like if they go and search for Behemoth and they're putting it into play, that's going to be game.
Yeah. So I'm not as down on I like this card. I should say I am down with this card because I like it. Down meaning good.
So, like emergency
meaning
powers,
thumbs up, not down.
They can't see you. It doesn't matter. No. Emergency powers seems like a really cool card. Like I don't know if it's on the power level of Cyclonic Rift.
Oh no. I mean, but it's freaking up there, man. This is for it being an instant. I think this card is going to be used quite in Commander. In Commander, I think this is.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna. It's gonna be tough to make it into.
Right. It's just so high casting cost, but it's such a good. I mean, that instant stuff. I feel like there's a lot of other things you can fuck around with people with. Like
sure, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that can be done.
You can definitely bluff if this isn't a control deck. Definitely,
right.
I think this totally works.
So, all right, let's move on. We spent about 10 minutes
Emergency
on that card.
powers is interesting.
So you want to talk about the box topper?
All right, it's not really a box topper, but it's the.
Not box topper. The
so the buy a box
promo
is which is
box
you can
topper.
only get it as the buy a box promo. You're not going to get this in the packs, but it's the Haunt of Hightower. Legendary creature vampire. It's 4 colorless, 2 black mythic. It's a 3/3 flying lifelink. Whenever it attacks, the defending player discards a card, and whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on the Haunt of Hightower. Thoughts? It's a lot of words.
Interesting. I think the thing I like about it is that the creature can go from anywhere. So if it's discarded, like from the top of their library,
sure.
discarded from their hand.
As long as it's a card.
Right.
It specifically states card, so like tokens going to the graveyard don't trigger it.
That's interesting. I never even thought of that, but yeah, that's right. So tokens wouldn't
So
do
this
it,
is similar to that original Golgari card from the first Ravnica block. That's like a 3/3 flyer for 5, red, or like green, black, 3 colorless. Whenever a card goes into the graveyard, it gets +1/+1.
Oh, yeah.
Flying. So this is very similar to this, other than it's Vampire Legend. Lifelink is super awesome on it. And then the discarding clause whenever it attacks. So, like, for me, like, starting out at a 3/3, I would be interested. I don't know the ruling specifically on it, but like, the Tarmogoyf Lightning Bolt interaction?
No.
So if Tarmogoyf is sitting at a 2/3 and no instants are in a graveyard, and somebody lightning bolts it,
what you're saying. Yeah.
And then lightning bolt goes
into the
in,
graveyard.
It survives because it's actually
a
a 3/4. And so that's that little interaction there. So if somebody went to lightning bolt the Haunt of Hightower as a 3/3, I feel like when the lightning bolt goes into the graveyard, turns into a 4/4.
Hey, and you know what?
I feel like that's. I don't know about that, and we're not going to do a "we were wrong" segment on this. If I'm wrong, because I'm questioning.
No, but the thing is I was actually reading this whole card wrong. I thought it was whenever a creature card went into your graveyard.
No, it's any card.
It's any card.
Yeah,
that's pretty. I read it right the first time we saw this spoiler, but as we're rereading it now and talking about it, I was in my head thinking creature. But this is any freaking card. That's even more powerful than I was thinking.
So any spell, any creature, like if it dies on the battlefield, if it's cast from the hand, if it's milled, like you said.
If that isn't the right ruling, send us a message, tweet us, something like that.
It's a pretty small, corner case a little bit, but that would be my
Whenever
question.
a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a 1/1 counter on it. So in my opinion, and my thought, and same
would
thing
be
with
similar to what
Tarmogoyf
is going on.
because it's 3 damage. The card goes right into the graveyard. It gets the counter. So, and if you want us to do another "We Were Wrong," go ahead and send us.
I refuse to.
An email, a tweet.
This is a brand new card. There's going to be a lot of questions about some of these cards. I think. What do you think of it as like a commander?
Kind of tough with black, just
mono black.
If you had some white in there, maybe you'd splash some other things, but
kind of go like black white life gain a little bit with the lifelink on it.
Or even if you had red with it, you could do more of with the discarding and stuff like that. You'd have a lot more.
So like people the wheeling.
Making people discard.
Man, that'd be crazy if you could wheel on that. Now I think it's Dark Dealings from Fate Reforged Black 2 colorless sorcery. Everybody discards their hand and draws that many cards that they have.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that could work in a mono black shell.
Well,
like
you
this.
use this, and you have Waste Not with this as well. You have all the
Sure.
cards that work together. So there's a couple things you could work with it. It's just, us and monocolored commanders are very...
It always feels a little bit weak because you're not able to shore up some of those little issues.
Yeah. So I would...
Like if you're against an enchantment deck on this, you're going to get like pillow forted out and not going to be able to do anything about it.
Hey, you know what? I am empty. Should we go on to the next one? Oh, you're not done yet. I thought you finished and you're waiting for me.
I thought we were going to do it for every segment.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to wait then. The next one is Tithe Taker. See what I did there? Tithe was another card that we did for... Never mind.
Huh?
From reserve list stuff. That's next episode. We're going to talk about that stuff. So Tithe Taker, it is 1 and 1 white. It is a human soldier. During your turn, spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast, and abilities your opponents activate cost 1 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. It has a new mechanic, Afterlife 1. When this creature dies, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature that has flying, and this is also a 2/1. So that is, and it is a rare. Yes,
yeah, it is a rare.
I think that's pretty sweet. I like
it. Does a lot.
Yeah, for a 2-drop is pretty amazing. Actually, I think this might be used in quite a bit of stuff.
Well, yeah, I saw a lot of people commenting on like, oh, this is going to bring Death and Taxes back. Like this activated ability, like activated abilities cost
1 more.
So that's
its mana
planeswalkers. That's fetch lands. That's kind of everything.
Are you sure we're gonna do or we were wrong again?
No.
I'm just kidding.
No. No. Planeswalkers are an activated ability. Anything that taps is an activated.
I'm giving you shit.
Jeez.
You're like second guessing. Like, God dang it.
And the afterlife mechanic seems really cool. Where like if it dies, you get that creature back, or essentially you get a 1/1 flyer.
I was like, you get the same creature?
No, you don't get that creature back,
like,
but you get a kind of a replacement a little bit. That Doom Traveler effect. They're finally making like a mechanic, and I'm just like, I want to rebuild Krav and Regna, the paired commanders from, because that's exactly what my deck was kind of based with, and I'm going to get a lot more toys for that deck in this set.
We're going to have to do a revisit to your commander
spotlight. We might want to do that.
All right, the next one, Mr. Lau. It's another 2-drop, but it's for red and black, kind of, because it's our next one.
Yeah, Rick's Matty Reveler, colorless and a red for 2/2. But it has Spectacle, which again is a new. We didn't.
I just had a sip of this new beer.
I'll be back to it. We did beer. King of the North. This one's a barrel-aged Imperial Stout. Oh yeah, that's a big difference.
I can taste it. It's pretty good. It's I like that chocolatey taste.
Yeah, that's really good. King of the North. I like this style of beer. That's more
your
my
beer.
style. Yeah. You want to just cut everything before that?
Yeah. Okay. What's our next card, Lowry?
It is.
Is it a red or a black card?
You sound like Terrence and Phillip from South Park. Hey there, Laura.
Hey there, buddy.
Rick's Matty Reveler, 2/2, red colorless. Spectacle, which is a new keyword again. So the Spectacle is 2 colorless, black and a red, which is more than the colorless and red. But you may cast this spell for its Spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent's lost life this turn.
So that's the whole Spectacle ability.
So Spectacle.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So kind of like Extort, in my thoughts, this would be considered a red and black card then. It's not like Extort, right? Or is it? Because Extort can go,
in a mono or like a black deck or a white deck,
right?
Because it's not a black-white.
Well, no, because Extort, like the Blind Obedience
text
is white, right? So Blind Obedience, it doesn't mean it's a white and black card. It's just a white card.
It's just a white card.
So that's what I'm saying is, does this mean that this is just a red card, or does the Spectacle, I feel like that's kind of the Extort thing too, where you're not necessarily, it's not a black and red because it's not it's not in the text of like tapping and doing all that stuff.
Well, I would say it's a red-black card.
And we're not for sure on this, so it's all new cards.
Because, yeah, in my mind, extort is no matter what, like you play a spell and you only have, it's a set amount
it's
of
only
black
white
hybrid.
and black. White or black.
One of those.
Yeah.
That's always set.
This is
whereas
changing.
spectacle is changing.
Yeah, okay.
So
I can
it's
see
always
that.
different. So in my mind, that's an extra cost within it. So it's not in reminder text. I feel like I want to sit down and look at extort right now and see where the hybrid mana of black-white is.
We can pull something up really quick, but keep reading the card.
So when Rick's Maddie enters the battlefield, discard a card, then draw a card. If its spectacle cost was paid, instead discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. I think that's a really good card.
Okay.
Just in general.
Here's how it works. I think you're right. Extort says extort, and then in the reminder text has the white and black.
Yeah, so in the
it's like you were saying.
parentheses, the black-white hybrid is in there, so
So
that's why it's only a
not
white
part
card
of that,
for
yeah.
blind obedience.
So this would be considered, you'd have to have this in a black and red deck. You could not just have
that
it
is
in a red
changing
deck.
its color identity. So, see, I'm not that stupid.
Are you bitter about what we're about to get to later this episode?
I am. I don't enjoy being wrong.
And the only times we've done, and I've been wrong a lot, but the 2 times that we've done this, we were
Getting
wrong.
called out. It's definitely my fault.
Oh, I can't wait for that part of this episode. All right.
Okay, so entering the battlefield and being able to discard any random card that you don't need and drawing a card feels pretty solid.
It's a lot to cast to come out for that. It is.
The spectacle seems... I don't like the spectacle mechanic from what we've seen other than one card that we will get to.
Right.
Because it's
They're
more expensive.
They're upcasting to make it so you get the second ability with it. Yeah.
Unless they were all under... Like,
we've only seen, 2-3 cards of that?
3 spectacles, yeah.
So they may switch that. They might be just showing all the
It might
different...
just be wherever it is. But discarding your... Like, again, here is where I was talking about where I kind of like Wheel of Fortune or that style of card where you can get down your hand and then spectacle this card and you're discarding 1 card.
Yeah.
And then you're drawing 3. That's pretty solid. But... And then also just for 2, discard a card, draw a card. That's not a bad value either.
For 2, yeah.
The problem is if you want a spectacle and you just don't have, you have a full mitt, that sucks.
Yeah.
So most instances,
but then you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't
right.
do it as a spectacle. Then
Agreed.
You just do a 2-drop
or just
save
hold on to it
right.
later.
Because that is a good card to play as a late game thing where your hand's pretty much empty. Then.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next one is Gruul Spellbreaker and is 1 red-green. Hey, that could fit into our stuff.
It's probably good enough.
So we have a new mechanic. This is a 3/3 Org Warrior, and we have Riot. What Riot
Ogre.
is, or what did I say?
Org.
Yeah. The beer. The beer.
Every mistake, we're going to blame it on beer now. I love it.
What did I say?
Org.
That just sounds like something an ogre would say. Org.
I'm an org. No, he's just, you were telling him to go to CommanderSmiths.org instead of
there we go. I don't know why I said org. That is really weird. All right, so it's an org warrior. That's
not a thing.
I'm crying right now because I'm laughing. All right, so the new mechanic is Riot. What that means is it can enter the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it, or you can give it haste instead. This one is a 3/3, has trample. As long as it's your turn, it also has hexproof.
Sure. You and it have hexproof.
Oh, you and it.
Yeah.
Oh, I never caught that.
So they can't
I'm learning stuff today.
They can't burn
Damn
you out
orgs.
on your turn if this is in play. It's a rare. Now, okay, so one thing that I was looking at for Riot, the ruling on it, this is not an enter the battlefield mechanic. So
this enters with that. So you
that.
decide before it hits.
Yep. So, and I'm not sure on ruling of when you actually have to decide. I am not sure if you cast this and then if somebody has a counter spell, they're like, so what are you going to do?
Oh, because you have to just.
So I'm not sure where you have to decide. If it's instantly on the stack, or if you can be like, I'm not going to tell you, are you going to counterspell it?
It's a
And
surprise.
if they say no, then it's coming in with haste. Come at you.
You're dead.
You're dead. Ha ha.
Fucker, gotcha.
Probably should have counterspelled it. You're bad at this. So
Who plays with counter spells anyways?
But a 3/3 trample haste for 3 seems
pretty good.
really powerful, especially on your turn. You can cast it. They can't kill it
Yeah.
because it has hexproof. You have hexproof when it's in play. But even a 4/4 trampler for 3 seems pretty good, along with this tacked on hexproof for it and you on your turn.
Plus, it has a new creature type, Org. I don't know why. Okay. Org. All right, let's go on to the next one. I like this card. Basically, is what it comes down to. This,
Yeah, it seems
this
like a really
would make
cool
our
card.
list for core cards for
Probably,
Commander.
Probably.
Green red. So it's
It,
not on there because it hasn't come out yet.
It kind of reminds me of the black, white, red Zergo that has indestructible on your turn.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to that a little bit, where people have to be like, well, I'm going to take it, but I'm going to try and kill that sucker
Yeah.
afterwards. So, all right, moving on. Lavinia Azorius Renegade. Hey, 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 no, 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 Renegade. Sorry.
I don't know what song you're singing.
That's Ex Ambassadors, and it was like the Renegade Jeep commercial song as
Okay.
well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. But if
Yeah.
you would have sang that as your song for
Well, I also went
CommanderSmiths,
like mumble, 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 Renegade.
I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. This one's sweet. I like this card.
It does a lot of different things.
But
So
I-
it is a 2/2. It's a white and a blue, a legendary creature. So could be a commander card. Probably not.
No.
It's a human soldier. This is a revisit. Lavinia was a character from Return to Ravnica. Each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with converted mana cost greater than the number of lands that player controls.
Tron Killer. That's what it is.
And then another paragraph. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell.
0 Mana Rock Killer.
Yeah, so is it Mana Crypt?
Yeah. Mana Crypt.
You know, for us,
This is going to be big for Lund stuff because you got your 0-drop Moxes and all that, Lotuses and all that crap. But it is a 2-drop for that. I should say I like this card not for Commander. I like this card as in this. If this is
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
don't. I'm
expensive.
not sure if this is really a commander card.
No,
Like,
no.
In my mind, I'm sitting there going like, what cards cast nothing like that
For
I would
us,
actually play
yeah.
with? It would be like the packs from Future Sight, where you cast it's for 0 and then it's a delayed trigger.
In this card, if you get it in your pack, you're pretty much going to sell this sucker. Like that's what I'm saying is a
Sure.
good card. If I find this in my pack, it's like, all right, who wants
Yeah,
this?
like maybe it's a ramp killer. Like, so if it's a non-creature spell, you basically can't. Your mana racks don't really ramp you into it.
Right.
So that kind of helps you. That slows people down. Like, I have a Roshin Meander deck which taps for 4x. Means I basically can't use Roshin with Lavinia in play.
All right. The next one is Simic Ascendancy, and this is kind of a card of what's kind of triggered some. Well, this is one of the early
Not spikes, but some
early
rises in some cards that
and
we'll
it
talk
might
about.
be something with our specs that we talk about here.
Maybe.
So this is an enchantment. It's for Simic, which is green-blue. And it is tap 1 green-blue, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever you put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control, you put that many growth counters on this.
Simic Ascendance.
So, and then at the other part of it is if you have 20 or more, so it's one of the alternate win things. If you have 20 or more counters on at the beginning of your upkeep, you win the game.
Which is awesome. That's
Yeah.
a great way, a different way to win the game, especially in like a 1/1 counter deck.
And
If it's green blue, you just kind of slide it in there, and it just can be a random way to win.
And if you look at some of the other alt win cards, like the Judgment one, the white, when you have 20 or was it 50 or more life? You win
I think
the
it's
game?
40.
40 or more life?
40 or 50 more life, yeah.
Well,
Test
that
of
actually,
endurance.
you win the game if you play it
Yeah.
right away because you start with 40 life.
Yeah,
But
test of endurance.
that's right. So, I mean, this is similar to that, but you get to actually, not similar, but it's another alt-win kind of card
Which
in
are
the
fun.
game. And then it also adds to it. You're giving yourself counters and everything. So that's kind of triggered some other things.
Yeah, like I wouldn't... I mean, you could probably sit down and build a deck around it, and that'd be fine, but...
this would be
I
added
think-
to your 1+1 counter
Yeah, I think this
deck.
would work really well in my Cumena deck. Just kind of slide it in there, and if I get it, I could probably get there.
Yeah.
So... I think it's just another way, but then at the same time, like being able to just paying 3 to put a 1/1 counter on something is kind of expensive. I'm just like burping.
Burping.
I'm not like getting a real burp because I'm talking through it. It's like
burp.
I'm done.
All right.
Moving on.
Let's scroll down here. All right. Let's get into this guy.
So, Zagana, Utopian Speaker, 2 colorless, green and a blue for a legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard. Revisit, Zagana was printed and returned to Ravnica block as well. Probably Gate Crash or something in my mind. It's a 4/4 Zagana. When it enters the battlefield, if you have a creature with a 1/1 counter on it, you get to draw a card.
Only if you have one creature. It doesn't matter if you have 5 creatures. You get one
so
card.
you only get to draw 1 card no matter what, only if another creature has a 1/1 counter on it. I wish it was just...
Every creature that had a counter on it?
Well, that or when it comes into play, just draw a card.
Right.
But, okay, so it's a 4/4, and then it has Adapt 4, which is a new mechanic. And this one for Adapt 4 is 4 colorless, green and a blue. And then when you cast or pay that...
If it has no counters on it.
If it has no counters on it, put 4 1/1 counters on it. And then each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has trample.
So it turns into an 8/8 trample.
Sure.
The interesting thing with this is it does say it's not like something like I guess one of the examples I did hear from Goldfish was monstrosity. When your creature turns monstrous, if you remove the counters, you can't do it again.
Agreed.
This, you remove the counters, which hopefully they have some abilities that do that we have some cards that get revealed later. You remove the counters, you can do it again. You get what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
So you take the 4 counters off, and then you can, boom, turn 4 counters again.
Yeah,
and use the
because
counters.
The trigger is if it doesn't
no
have a
counters.
1/1+1/+1 counter on it.
We had talked about this one as being a potential spotlight commander, but we'll see what happens.
In my preference at this point, I would rather just slide this into my Cumena deck.
Yeah, because it'd be very similar to that.
And I think it'd be pretty powerful in that regard. But at the same time, like at the lead, it's much more like 1/1 counter focused. But you just have you have that mix. She doesn't give out 1/1 counters,
right?
Now, if she did that, that'd be something different as well. Kind of like Cumena. Cumena hands out 1/1 counters, strengthens.
Here you go.
So this is just like, hey, I'm going to help 1/1 counters, like if you randomly have it or you gear your deck around it, but I'm going to become more of a beat stick as an 8/8.
Ooh.
That has
beat stick.
Beat stick's a real term, not meat force. Like you making shit up. It's a real term.
Beat stick.
Jesus. So, like, as a 4/4, it almost makes you want, or like turning into
makes
an
you want a
8/8
beat
trample.
stick.
I'm glad that you entertain yourself.
Why was that a motion? You did a jerking off motion.
That's just what you said. It was more of a vigorous pointing towards you.
Vigorous
sploosh in your direction.
All right. I agree. Meat stick.
Beat stick. Say meat stick.
Stupid beer. All right.
We're going to go through all 4 here.
I know. We are. We're not going to finish this episode. We're going to be wasted for the next episode. Tune in for that episode because it's going to be shots from the Wheel of Misfortunes. We should totally do that for that episode. People will listen to that shit. All right. Anyways. All right. I'll move on to the next one. One of the spectacle cards that you do like.
Yeah, the one that I agree with.
Light Up the Stage is 2 and a red, and Spectacle 1 red. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards, and it's a sorcery. So you play this on your turn, of course. And remember what Spectacle is. It doesn't have reminder text because we're the floor. But yes, you do damage. You can pay the Spectacle cost. So your turn ends, you get to cast that until your full next turn. You have
so
2
if there's
turns,
instances
basically.
in there, you can get rid of it. Like in my mind, I instantly went to the Niv Mizzet Perun decks that me and you both have, and I was just like, you cast 1 instant or sorcery, you ping somebody, you spectacle this for free. You're basically drawing 2 cards, and you can do whatever with those as needed.
Yeah.
Like
You have a
that
turn.
feels really good.
2 turns to get that figured out.
Now, if I'm just like, if I'm paying 2 colorless and a red for this to draw 2 cards, that's still not that bad
Yeah.
in red. That's pretty solid where you can wait around for the next turn to be able to do it. But being able to spectacle isn't that hard.
Right.
To just like get 1 damage in willy-nilly.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really cool, powerful card.
And it's an uncommon, too,
as well.
so
yeah.
that's pretty amazing. All right, next uncommon.
This one's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Gate Colossus, 8 colorless artifact. It's an 8/8. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each gate you control. Gate Colossus enters the can't
Can it be blocked by
creatures with power 2 or
So
less.
no chumpies.
Well, chumping it with a 3/3 is still chumping.
You can't block with your meat force. That's
That
what
is
it would
true.
be. That's the
That
term
is
right
true.
there. Can't block with your meat force.
Whenever a gate enters
can
the
hit with your
battlefield
beat
under your
stick.
control, it's a meat.
Oh, it's not.
No, it is a beat stick. Yeah. You mess with it. I'm trying to read. You may put Gate Colossus from your graveyard on top of your library.
When it end, wait,
Whenever a gate enters the battlefield
okay.
under your control, you weren't even paying
Yeah,
attention. You may put
was
a
ready for
Gate
jokes.
Colossus from your graveyard on top of your library. So this is something that has potentially a little bit of recursion if you're gate heavy. They really push these gates. And
yeah,
it's
they want the
super
gates to be
boring for
good.
me.
They're trying to get those
No,
dual lands.
I don't know if gates are good. I don't think they're pushing for it, but they're trying to push for it to be like, hey, if you're in casual, we're going to give you a little bit more
a bonus
help if
with
you're
these
playing
crappy
yeah.
gates.
Yeah, because you don't. There's 1 mythic that deals with gates in Maze's End. I'm gonna burp again. And then
Well, you had the gate, the one from the last set where it dealt with, what was it? Something. If you played a gate, you got to draw cards. Wasn't it blue?
that's uncommon though.
Was
Like
it?
there's nothing that's mythic or
Right.
rare. Like it's just that Maze's End land that's not good.
Yeah.
And then
Well, I thought the one that I was just talking about, is
that
actually
uncommon
pretty
is
decent.
probably the best gate
Yeah.
card there is, but it's uncommon, so they like put that at common and uncommon, so it's probably for that segment of popper type players. So,
I'll just say the next one, and then I'll read the next one. Mortify got reprinted, which is destroy target creature
the
or
promo looks
enchantment.
awesome.
And it's 1 white and black. But a new one is Rakdos Firewheeler, and it's 2 black, 2 red. 4/3 human rogue. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target opponent and 2 damage up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. So it's a nice uncommon. 4/3 for 4. It shouldn't be terribly, if you're playing 2 colors, it shouldn't be terribly hard to get out, but it's not something amazeballs. Not more
Yeah.
we need to talk about.
Well, it's actually kind of something that we were for a list. We had a card that flipped into something that did something very similar to something.
So that isn't on
Something.
our list anymore, so you could talk about it.
No, we still have it on there, don't we?
No, you're talking about the werewolf dude?
Yeah.
No, that's cut out.
I don't think we cut it.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe we did. All right. Huntmaster of the Fells kind of flips over almost into this card. It's a 4/4 with trample and deals 2 damage to an opponent and a creature or planeswalker. That's kind of what this is doing for right off the bat. As a 4/3 deals 2 damage to an opponent and to a creature or planeswalker.
But you don't get that bonus
You don't
2
get
too.
the flip. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not gaining the life or getting the 2/2. So obviously not as good as a mythic, but
I think we
Rakdos
can move on.
Firewheel. Yeah, I'm right with this. So I get to move on. Yeah, this one's
Yeah,
so
yeah, you
awesome.
get a good one.
Bedevil, black, red, instant,
You
rare.
want to hear how I would read it? Adam reading. Bed evil. Because that's how I read it in my head.
We don't like to sleep.
Bed
My
evil.
bed is evil.
that's what my son. He has nightmares almost every other night, and his bed is evil.
Just post this card on his headboard a little bit, and that won't scare him.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah, especially with all like the demon faces and everything.
so destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker.
Pretty
it's
sweet.
a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
It's instant. It's 3 colorless. The art is amazing.
Yep.
And I saw a lot of people talk about the art. Just, it is really awesome. Like, it's goblins wearing devil masks, pointing, like, kind of like, and it's so well done. Yeah. This guy might be one of my more favorite artists coming up at this point.
Yeah, and
Seb.
It's another. Everything's gonna be these dual colors. It's like, seriously, these might make it into our list later on down the 2-year road.
Eventually, yeah. Eventually.
All right. This one's. How do I say this? Aeromunculus.
I think that's pretty close.
It's 1 green and blue flying, and it has that adaptability. So it's 2 green and a blue, and it has adapt 1, so you can.
It puts 1/1 counter on it if it doesn't have a 1/1.
So it's a common. It's a flying 2/3. This is just kind of one of the other ones that they were showing with adapt. So I get the stupid one. Go ahead, Larry. Go on to the next one.
Here's a question about adept. So
it's a homunculus mutant, by the way.
Yeah, so, totally relevant.
Yeah.
If you're building that homunculus deck,
mutant deck,
or a mutant deck, same thing. Okay.
Wolverine's in it.
Would adept
Cyclops
would have
Gambit. Oh, that's gonna be my song.
No, you can't do that.
I'm gonna do that. You've done it. Yeah, you've done it where it's just one word.
No. Okay, so adapt You were just talking over me this episode. I bring multiple beers.
That's why I'm talking over you. The beers are talking over you.
Okay, so back to adapt. Would this have been an overpowered mechanic if you could do it multiple times?
Sure. Well,
overpowered?
Not overpowered.
It's a 2/3 flyer where you got to pay 4 to put 1/1 counter.
The other one would have been overpowered.
You're paying 6 to put a 4/4 counter on.
Turn into an 8/8. Turn into a 12/12.
You need 12 mana to put into it. It has no natural protection.
Well, I'm just saying each turn you would do it.
Sure, but you're not moving your board state.
You're doing what I normally do and say, this is how this card could be better if it did something.
No, but I'm just saying, why is it only like?
Yeah.
What happens if like? In that style of deck, I almost want to have like all creatures get +1/+1 counters, but you would have to hold that until all of your cards have adapted. I would probably much rather have it be like at least monstrous, where you get like a monstrous recognition.
Going back to what I was talking about before, I think they might put a lot of stuff of removing counters off of stuff because
so I'm
that
pay
does
a ton
make
of mana to put like little benefit into it, and then
that
I'm
might
remove
have
it
something
for
that's really
else.
good that actually benefits you to remove 1/1 counters.
I mean, that'd be smart.
Yeah,
but you're doing the same thing and saying this is how we could make it better.
No, because I'm not changing the ability. I'm saying that they might add something to the set that actually that works with this. They've only showed us 2 to 3 cards of each ability.
Sure.
So they really, and this is a common that they're showing us here. Mm-hmm. So imagine what uncommons and rares and mythics we might see that they do. And think of the planeswalkers. I bet you they're going to have something that works with some of these abilities. I don't know.
My guess would be planeswalkers will be white, blue, and...
Well, didn't they show? I thought the picture is that one gal that was a plains. She
white,
was white black. Wasn't she?
She was in Conspiracy.
Yeah,
the ghost assassin.
Yeah, so I'm guessing she would be the planeswalker.
Yeah, and then white blue. I think it's going to be Dovin Ban. Actually, I think he's in that.
Oh yeah. That's right. Dovin is in this. So then
pretty close.
Do we have any others? And you got to think that they're probably going to do the Mythic Edition stuff again. I would assume. I'm guessing that's something to think about. Think about that.
All right, moving on to another common here.
Yeah, we talked a long time about that fucking common. Now we're going to another.
No, we're
common?
talking about the abilities. So Frenzied Erinx, 2 colorless, red and a green for a 3/3 with Riot. So that's it will enter the battlefield with a 1/1 counter or haste on it. It has trample, so second Riot with trample, which is interesting. I don't know if that's going to be similar in both. But you can pay 4 red and a green to give it +3/+0 until end of turn. I'd say moving on to my favorite card.
Growth Spiral. I
love it.
Green, blue, instant. Draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield.
Love it.
Pretty basic,
super simple.
But it's awesome. And it's what? Is this going to be it shows...
This is the promo.
Yeah, so is it common?
Yeah, it's a common.
That is a really good common.
Yeah. This is very similar to Explore. Little differences like instant versus sorcery. Also, Explore allows you to put an extra land into play that turn, to whereas this, you need the land in your hand when you play this.
Yeah.
So that little difference is there, because you can later draw an extra land.
Well, that's what I was going to say. But in this, you draw a card. If you draw a land there, you can play that land.
Correct.
Because it has
That
draw a
is
card,
correct.
period, then you're starting the second part of
Yep.
it. So you're doing that first.
But if you don't have the land, you don't get that extra
Right.
benefit.
It doesn't
To whereas
last your whole
Explore,
turn.
you draw a card and you get an extra land drop that turn.
Right.
So you can somehow end up with a land in your hand, and then you still get that benefit later.
All right. Our last two common cards, which you can just really move quick with these.
Yeah, Imperious Oligarch, white, black, 2/1 vigilance, and it has afterlife. So if it dies, you get a 1/1 spirit with flying.
And then Rafter Demon. This is 2 black and red. Has spectacle, 3 black and red. When it enters the battlefield, if its spectacle was cost or was paid, each opponent discards a card. It's a 4/2.
Meh.
Yeah, it's pretty blah.
It's common. All right, those are your spoilers for this point in time. Next week we won't have any spoilers. There will probably be some.
Yeah, we
maybe.
just won't.
We'll just add them into episode 47.
There we go. All right, so we move into our third segment, kind of our sneak segment in there.
Do you want another beer? Chug.
All right, time to drink.
So we're gonna drink Mother of Dragons, which is a smoked porter, and Kirk Ale Bend.
You
6.6.
can be my mother of my dragon. I don't know what that meant. That was stupid.
But moving on.
Core cards for Commander.
Core cards for Commander, green and red. But first,
I'd say red and green.
green and red. Red and green. But first, what are we drinking again?
So we are drinking Mother of Dragons from Omegang. This one's a smoked porter and Quirk Ale Blend.
Quirk?
Creek. Kriek.
Oh, okay.
Good luck with
I
that.
thought you really were reading Creek,
Crick?
like Creek.
Crick?
Creek.
No.
Kirk.
So
All right.
this should be tasty.
Ooh, I like that. That has like a sour to it.
Creek
almost.
Ale must be like cherry or raspberry. That's like raspberry. Yeah, that's tasty.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
All right, so core cards for Commander,
Red, green.
green, red. Merry Christmas.
It's red and green on the card. This is why this episode's so long.
No, you know why this episode is so long? The beer. This is our Merry
possible.
Christmas episode. We're drinking lots of
Very
stuff
possible.
and talking lots.
Yeah.
All right, so Laurie, do you want to start us off?
Number 10, Treacherous Terrain. This was printed in a Commander product 2-3 years ago at this point. It's a sorcery for 6 colorless, a red and a green. See? And this deals damage
Green,
to each opponent to the number of lands
what's
that
most
that player
important,
controls.
green or red?
Green.
Green.
Yeah, all right. That seems like meh, but the nice thing is it has basic land cycling for 2 mana, which allow you to go and find any basic land in your library if you discard this card for 2 mana. It gives you early game and late game
Right.
finisher.
It does a lot of damage potentially, like you're saying. Late game can do a shit ton of damage.
Mm-hmm.
It could finish the whole game off if everybody's low enough life, and you hold on to this card. Or if you need land right from the get go, you just cycle it out and go get it. So it has a couple of abilities with it. It's number 10. It sneaks in there. It's red and green.
It's
like this.
It's red. It's red's fault. Let's blame it on red at this point.
Yeah, so it sneaks in there at number 10. Another one where Lowry actually wanted to have this as number 10 because of us and counter spells.
This is more our fault.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably not that core card, other than like
but I think
for
it
us.
could be. Not in our meta. This doesn't. No one really plays counter spells.
because you throw a hissy fit.
You too. We don't throw hissy fits. There isn't many people. I think
No, I know
Trombley's the
we
only
don't,
one that
but you
has.
do.
Yeah,
That's-
I freaking hate it. I hate it so much. Vexing Shusher, and this is either red or
It's-
green.
Yeah, red green hybrid. 2 of them.
So
I don't even know.
it can't be countered. It's a 2/2. You can tap 1. Target spell can't be countered by spells or abilities. So awesome.
It's small, and it just
wanna
makes
play
it
this
so
card
that your
all the time.
Your spells can't be countered. Yeah.
Except I'm just glad that our play group doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And a side note to this, when we kind of were early on opening boxes, right? Were we opening boxes?
Yeah, Shadowborn box.
So
Yeah.
we opened the box. He opened one. I opened one. He got a regular of this and
And a natural foil
and a
out of
foil
it,
of
yeah.
this out of that box. And at the time, time was the most expensive card in the set. So
not anymore. But
that was when Lowry was on a good streak of opening sweet cards in his box. Like, he kicked my ass for years on boxes.
When we started box opening, like the battle boxes, it was going to be a competition, but it is bad.
Well, you won in war.
That doesn't count.
And then you did a bad bet and you drank a shot with me. I appreciate the very first time we did that episode that you took a shot with me. So
let's move on to number 7.
Is that number 8?
No.
Yes, it is number 8.
10, 9, 8. Yeah, that's how that works. All right,
number 8.
I'm not looking at the list. I'm just hoping you click on the right thing. Heaven and Earth, which is an Amonkhet rare. So Heaven, a split card also. It's X and a green, instant. Heaven deals X damage to each creature with flying. Earth has Aftermath, so you cast it from your graveyard. It's X, 2 red. It's a sorcery, and it deals X amount of damage to ground creatures.
And we also have in this spot Clan Defiance, which we also pointed out as our underused cards last week. So you know what that does. It's
moving on. Yeah.
What is it? One. It's red and green.
Red, green, X,
and then it's a flyer,
ground
non-flyer,
creature,
and a player.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. And this does kind of the same thing. So we kind of kept. We have a couple of those where there's a couple of the similar ones as we talk about the
top
next
10.
one.
We're cheating
a little bit, adding because the next one, the best one of the 3. So we have 3 in this kind of spot. But Hull Breach, it is a red and a green. It's a sorcery. Choose one: destroy target artifact, or destroy target enchantment, or destroy target artifact and target enchantment. So you can do.
It's a 2-for-1 in my mind. You just wait until an enchantment, and if you can't wait, then you just destroy an artifact.
Right. And then other ones that are in this spot is Artifact Mutation, which is 2, right? It's a red and green.
Yeah, red and green.
And you destroy an artifact, and you get X/1/1 Saplings.
Saplings for the converted mana cost of that artifact.
And then we have Decimate, which is really good, except there's a downfall to Decimate. It's 2 and a red and a green.
Sorcery.
You have to destroy a creature,
an enchantment,
an artifact, and a land. So if you don't have one of those targets, or if only one of those targets is yours, which you have said...
Yeah, I'd say about 30% of the time when I'm casting this, I am blowing up something of my own. Generally, an enchantment.
Right. So it's a little... It's good if there's all those on the board.
Yeah,
for the
really good.
casting cost, you're destroying 4 frickin' things, including a land in there. Land destruction is...
But each target has to be there.
Right.
And so if somebody was like, well, I sacrificed my creature, fizzles the whole thing.
Right. So
maybe we were wrong segment. But I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Pretty sure if one of those doesn't exist, it fizzles the entire thing.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I would think as you cast it, you can't cast it until those actually all exist. And
also
then
true.
Once you cast it...
But if they're gone, they're gone. Like, it kind of fizzles the entire spell.
You can email us at CommanderSmiths and say, Lowry, you were wrong, and then I will ask a judge, and then that's how I find out that he was wrong. Next segment, get ready. All right, you're on the next card.
What number is this?
This one is actually number 6.
Number 6. Mage Slayer. This is an uncommon equipment. It is a colorless red and a green. Whenever equipped creature attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to defending player, and it's equipped 3.
So it's almost like a double strike in a way, because you're doing
you're doing direct
damage to them, and then you're doing damage again if it gets through.
Yeah,
so that's pretty sweet. That's
or
a really
it's
good
just
equipment.
killing your creatures, so it's it's kind of just like doubling whatever damage is going on, and it's getting damage through. Like if it's a really cool card. I think it's highly used with Kresh of the Bloodbraid.
I can see that
because he gets huge.
Yeah, that's a huge bitch. All right, number 5 is Omnath, Locus of Rage. This is a pretty sweet commander in itself. You build a deck with this guy. 3, 2 red, 2 green. He is a legendary elemental. He has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get a 5/5 red and green elemental creature onto the battlefield. Whenever Locus of Rage or another elemental you control dies, deal 3 damage to target creature or player. And he's a 5/5. Yeah, that was a good deck really that you built. Powerful. I only saw you play it a couple times. I think you killed it.
Now, the slight little thing with Omnath Locus of Rage is if he is your commander, he doesn't go to the graveyard unless you want him to.
Right, so you don't get to use that ability.
So you need to make sure either you're having him go to the graveyard or not. But if you're putting him in the command zone, doesn't deal with 3 damage.
Our next card is our very first. What started
Actual spec.
specking?
Yep.
This is what actually started us to start specking in general, like years ago. So go ahead, Larry.
Number 5. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It's
No,
mine.
you're
okay,
number 4.
Mina
You're number
and
4.
Den.
Number 4.
Number 4. Mina and Den. Wildborn. Oath of the Gatewatch rare. This is 2 colorless, a red and a green for a 4/4 legend. You may play an additional land each of your turns, and then you can pay a red and a green to return a land to your hand, and target creature gets trampled until end of turn.
I didn't realize that it actually had a recent spike since we.
Yeah.
So we bought it when it was.
It actually worked
Yeah.
3 years later.
At
We
least.
were right. We should have a We
Yeah, I
Were
was
Right
gonna say
segment.
we were right.
Boom.
That's our. That should have been our next episode. Is just go through a list of everything we were right on.
I plan on doing that for like our year anniversary. Just like, this is how awesome we are.
Not say anything that was bad. This is a sweet card. Anything that gives you additional. We've said that before. Anything that gives you an ability to
Additional
play an
land
additional
drops.
land, and it's the instants that do that are good, but the ones that are permanents that are out in play are even better. And that does this. It allows you to actually bring a land back and play it. So you're playing a lot of landfall stuff.
Yeah.
This works amazing with it. And then it gives trample. I mean, it's a 4/4 for 4. This is what triggered us to look into it in the first place, is because all these abilities that it does, it's just an awesome card. And that's why it makes, number 4 on our list?
Number 4.
Number 4. I like
Mina and Den.
Say it on your
My
number
sexy
4.
voice.
I guess that's your sexy voice. Lucky Kirsten.
All of them are sexy
All right,
voices.
Xenagos the Reveler. This is our only Planeswalker we have on here, and this is 2, a red and a green. It comes in with 3 loyalty. You can +1 it to give you X of any combination of red and green a mana pool into your mana pool, where X is equal to the number of creatures you control. You can do 0. It gets you
A 2/2 Satyr.
And then its ultimate is you exile the top 7 cards of your library. You may put any number of those creatures and or land cards from those onto the battlefield until end of turn.
Yeah. It's
So-
a pretty powerful card.
I mean, the first 2 are the main things I would focus on. The ultimate is decent. It's not like I win the game, like you would say with the Planeswalker. You should win the
Yeah.
game if you ultimate. This one isn't necessarily you win the game, but it gives you a really big advantage.
There was one time, I don't know if you were there or not, but Grant was playing this card in a red, white, green deck, and then he ramped with it, and shit, I wish I knew more of the story at this point.
Cool
But
story,
it's,
Hansel.
It's 2 white, 2 red, and X, and then it has Radiant, and then he dealt like 70 damage because of the
shit.
Radiant, and then the
What's
pump
Radiant
from
do
this,
again?
It's dealing X damage to a creature and all the creatures of the same color of that, and so it just like wrecked the game. Like it wiped the board, gained him a ton of life because of he just put all of the mana into it. It's a Ravnica rare, but he used it very well. I will admit that.
Nice. So that makes number 3. Number 2 on our list, we had a little discussion between 2 and 1.
So number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. We're going to go with Dragon Broodmother. That's 2 colorless, red, 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 green. It's a 4/4 flyer. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put a 1/1 red and green dragon.
At the beginning of each upkeep.
Of each upkeep, true that. Put a 1/1 red and green dragon, and it also has Devour 2, I believe.
Yep. So then what
so
Devour is if it has Devour 2, if you eat a creature, it gets 2 1/1 counters on it. For each creature you eat, it gets 2 1/1 counters. So you eat 2 creatures, you get 4 counters. If you eat 3, you get 6. Blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
yeah.
But it's each upkeep, so that's the pretty ridiculous part. She's a 4/4 by herself. I'm calling her a girl because she's a mother.
Yeah, she's a mother.
There you go. Hey, it
Brood
worked
mother.
out this time.
Yeah.
All right. So, but each turn you're getting a 1/1, and like your first person gets, you say go to the next person, you get a 1/1 dragon. The next person, you can have the next one that comes in eats that first one, you get a 3/3 dragon. So it's pretty ridiculous how this can stack up on itself.
Yeah, and just creating the tokens allows you to have like extra blockers if need be.
Meat force. It is
Very
a
true.
meat force.
Very well applied place.
That is
for
our.
Meat Force.
That is what they are now. You know
That's
that.
our thing.
It's
no,
a
I
meat
know.
Force.
I know.
It is not.
That
we're
is
not-
that is how we're going to be talked about. Like Oh, you hear about the Meat Force cousins?
What about the beat meat sticks?
No, that beat stick is a term. That is a legitimate term.
Beat meat. All right, I get another Xenagos, but this time I get the God of Revels, and this one is 3 green and red. He's a 6/5 indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, it isn't a creature. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, another target creature you control gets X plus X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. So you just double it up. And haste.
Yeah. So you can play a big guy.
That's what you were checking, weren't you?
X,
you were looking, and you're like, you missed something.
I actually was thinking it had trample as well, but I don't think it does.
No. But it does gain haste. So you play a creature, and then you attack with them right away.
I can't wait to put this on some riot creatures that are new.
Oh,
because they all have trample so far.
Way
all
to
two
use what we've been talking about.
Boom.
I was thinking more of a Blightsteel Colossus, so I can kill you for poison.
Haste and plus
Poison.
11/11 poison. I feel like that's overkill. Just giving it haste is awesome. Yeah.
So that's our number 1. That's our top 10 of our core cards for Commander, green and red. Merry Christmas. It's the colors we chose. Probably one
That's
of the
how
worst,
we're on theme this week.
worst
Everybody else
colors
is probably giving shit out, and we're just like, let's go with the colors. Let's go.
We can't give shit out. We don't get any money for anything yet.
That is true.
All right, so let's move on into our third segment. This is the longest freaking podcast we've ever had.
No, we're fine. That was actually relatively quick.
Well, we went quick, but we're at an hour. Well, hey, this is
Hour
normally
15.
when we should be ending, so we still got our specs to come
All
up
right,
here.
so you can check us out on Twitter.
Nice. So we want to do it at the same time. Next segment is
Smith Specs of the Week. Is that one?
We were wrong.
Oh, shit.
What the fuck?
I didn't want to do that one. All right. We were wrong. I don't want to do it together.
We were wrong.
Let's do it. No.
Ready, Larry? Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We were wrong. Why are you being so quiet with it? So we told you guys last week that we gave you our top 20 underused cards. Not necessarily our number 1 card, but is the one we listed first. Spellskite.
Spellskite's still really awesome.
Still really awesome.
I'm
But
gonna
Lowry
defend it.
has been cheating for years.
No,
and
not cheating, just misunderstanding. That's
So-
overreacting to ignorance. I'm
Adam
sorry.
number 2 brought this to my attention. He shot me a text and was like,
He's all over this
Yeah,
episode.
he's
over
like, I think you guys are overrating Spellskite because it can't steal equipment. And I was like,
we did mention that. But essentially, the ruling is, and
I
don't
went
know
to
why
ask
I
a
ever
judge,
let
and
them-
I
yeah.
just made sure. I'll tweet that photo out too. I said, hey, if I have a
we don't have
Spellskite,
to put a ton of emphasis on this. We were wrong bit.
we did the
If
other
they
one.
listened last, did we?
Yeah, we did the last time. We just got to break it
Damn
down.
it, I don't think I remember.
You just don't like this. That is,
I don't.
You're like, why are we fucking doing a podcast? I hate finding out that I'm wrong.
It'd be a lot better if people played the way that I play because it makes cards way better.
That's the problem. Is
So much
we go,
more fun.
Lowry must be right. He knows stuff. He can cut his meat. It's a comedian. It's Mitch Fatel,
All right.
I think is who it is. Anyways, so you can't attach equipment because
to it.
equipment is only attached to creatures you control. So that's an illegal target. I did from the judge. It said you can activate that ability. So if for some reason you have something that's like, oh, whenever you activate something, it does something. You can
It just
still
won't do
activate the Spellskite ability. The equipment just won't attach to your Spellskite. Yeah. So Lowry has been cheating for years. And it's the reason why I bought Spellskite. I feel like you owe me money because I bought it.
I'll buy your spell skites. I don't have any problem with that.
No,
you don't have them. That's great.
It's still, but what Lowry was saying
I'll buy
too,
your Cyclonic
it's
Rifts,
still,
too.
yeah, right, and burn them.
I know. I just won't let you play with them.
It's still an amazing card, and it still is up there as it doesn't change anything for me. It maybe knocks it down a little bit, but really, it's probably one of my top cards for cards that should be used that are underused, and it is still on my core cards for Commander Blue.
Agreed.
Because it protects your stuff. Spells still can get shot to it. So if somebody's giant growth, that's such a weak way of using giant growth.
But it's the easiest.
Yeah, somebody's giant growth, and you can pump it to yours. Anything that's affecting their creatures, you're
all
putting
of your
it.
creatures. You're protecting all of your artifacts. You're able to, you get artifact, enter the battlefield, or leave the battlefield triggers,
Right.
which is heavy. It's cheap, 04, high toughness, comes down early for colorless. Even if you're color screwed, you can still do it. You can pay the 2 life and save anything. It's just super versatile, and you can reanimate it
Right.
for whatever
and
you need
it's
to.
still it doesn't change where I had it on my list of everything.
Sure, yeah. It's
just
still a really cool because like the stealing equipment almost never came up,
Right.
Because people just looked at it and went, "It needs to die." And I've played outside of our group, and they just go, "Oh, Spellskite, so I can't kill your commander?" No, well, I'm going to kill Spellskite. I was like, okay,
And I think we figured it out. Like I've done it once where I did steal an equipment. I don't remember what it was. Did that once. I think you've done it before. When you were the only one that had Spellskite, I think you had done it then. But other than that, you're more protecting your creatures. And you go, oh, yeah, well, why not use Lightning Greaves to protect your creature? Well, this protects them all at the same time.
yeah, not just one. It protects them all.
So we still don't back down from that, but we were wrong.
We were wrong.
Larry was wrong.
Smith Specs of the week.
Nice. All right. Smith Specs of the week, guys. Well, let's start with our first. Okay, so our theme of this is going off of what they've been starting to reveal. And that's a big thing you got to look at when you're coming into new sets. They will make other cards spike. Hence, let's backtrack, backshadow this past year. They were released ninjas. Ninjas went freaking crazy. I made a killing off of ninjas.
Every ninja from Kamigawa block went up.
You have Saprolines. Saprolines went crazy. Made money off of those. Walls went crazy. Made tons of money off of those. So you got to look at these when they come out and actually go, okay, what does it work with? With this, it's more so I'm looking at standard with they've only shown a couple cards, so we really can't.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, and so we're just kind of working with the abilities that are out there. And so right now you have, and the big ones right now are the adapt that adds the 1/1 counters on it, and Afterlife, which creates a 1/1 counter after something dies. Those are the two like big ones in my mind. Riot is a little hard to gauge at this point,
Right.
And then also Addendum. I don't think there's some cards that are like that, like Turn to Dust. But like there isn't any cards that benefit from that.
So we made our focus more on the 1/1 counters and the
token
tokens.
Yeah, because those are much more supported throughout the history of Magic.
Now, by the time you're hearing this episode, some things have already gone up. But the thing is this is the beginning. This hasn't shown all the stuff out. I mean, we're seeing what 5% of what's been shown, maybe 1% of what's been shown.
This.
I don't want another. We were wrong.
No.
Well, there was what 10.
I have at least 6.6%.
Lowry is spending the night tonight. All right, so I'll start off number one. Lowry's commander from our commander spotlight, Kumena.
Kumena, Tyrant of Orazka.
This one adds 1/1 counters to all your creatures, and if you go back to that enchantment that we were talking about, to the
Simic Ascendancy,
the alt win of getting 20 counters. Well, if you have like 6 or 7 creatures that your Merfolk out, you're adding that many more counters on it. So
think about how easy this is. Okay, you have Kumena. 5 or 4 other Merfolk in play. Hardened Scales, which isn't hard because that works in the deck.
It's not hard and it's not scales.
But it's Hardened Scales. And then you have Simic Ascendancy in play. You tap 5 for Kumena, put 5 on. 5 more because of Hardened Scales. You're already at 10
You're
on
halfway
Simic
there.
Ascendancy. One more turn, you win the...
And Kumena is a tap instant ability, so you can do this right before your turn, so you hit that.
Or if somebody's about to kill Kumena, you do it,
boom.
and you bring it back out and try it again.
And that is an enchantment, which remember, in Commander, there isn't as much removal as there are for creatures
you
and
have
everything.
like 1 or 2, not a ton in your deck. I generally try and run like generic removal, but...
So with this, I actually did pick up some of these. Yeah, I picked up foils. So foils, I was able to pick them up around $10. I can't really give you guys an estimate of where I think it's going to go up to, but
because we haven't seen like anything at this point.
So, because it's a lot of these are going to be in standard, these could really go up if they become the new the deck that everybody's using. And Merfolk are already really freaking strong, and it's just. You need a couple cards to help it.
I had the problem with Adept is like if you have Kumena and Adepted creatures, you tap them and then you can't use the Adept ability because they have 1/1 counters on them.
Right.
So I mean, it's It's a little questioning, but it is starting to uptick a little bit already.
Well, and I had this marked down at
Civic
non-foils.
Ascendancy.
Yeah, I think that's what's actually making it. But I had these non-foils sitting at $5. Right now we're looking at the Goldfish Spike Meter, and it's at $6. But I was able to pick them up for $5 on TCG. So definitely, and the thing is this is a good commander as well. So that's why I would say stick to the foils on this. And I don't think it's a bad buy at all.
No. It was a fun deck that I made.
I was gonna say, even if it doesn't work out for standard, this is a good card in general for commander. So, all right, next one.
And I just mentioned it. Hardened Scales sitting at about $5. This is being used in modern, but it can go in a ton of different commander decks. Like we just said, Cumena, Atraxa, anything dealing with +1/+1 counters heavy on it. It's kind of the way to go. You should have this in your deck.
Then it had a recent spike in September before Guilds came out. It's a really good.
It's starting to be made. It's in a essentially like Hangerback Walker and Walking Ballista deck, and so it's allowing more 1/1 counters on it.
Yeah. So it's a freaking awesome card in general. One drop enchantments.
I've spec'd on this months ago.
Right. So spec on it again because if that and it fits the colors of green and blue with the counters and everything.
So highly suggest.
Next one is Deep Root Elite, which is from Rivals. So again, another standard card. This is a Merfolk, 1 and a green, 1/1. Whenever another Merfolk enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on target Merfolk you control. So it's not anytime you cast. If you have the one Merfolk where it comes into play and it creates another Merfolk that's has hexproof, you get 2 counters.
Dish out 2 counters.
So this can get crazy really quick, and it's a 2-drop for this. And I was thinking, let me check my notes really quick. So your non-foils are at $1 right now, but your foils are at $2. So
that's not that bad of a change.
Spend the $2 and get that, and don't go for the non-foils. Go for the foils on this, and you can potentially make a ton of money off of this, especially if things start to go the way that we think they're going to go. Next card, Larry. I like this one a lot.
So this one is based off of the Afterlife mechanic. This was printed in Guilds of Ravnica with Divine Visitation. Enchantment, 3 colorless, 2 white. Whenever a token comes into play, you make a 4/4 angel. So if you have
turn those 1/1s into 4/4s.
Exactly. That sounds like a pretty awesome upgrade to me.
And the angel has vigilance. So that's
it makes a Sarah Angel.
Since
really good.
the beginning of the spoil stuff, it has gone up a couple bucks just because of that. I mean, and that's just the beginning of everything. So
we have 2 cards with Afterlife at this point, but it's the mechanic.
Right.
Just think if there's something with Afterlife 4.
Yeah.
Like it dies and you put 4 1/1s into play, but they turn
I
into
hope
4/4.
that there's something like
That'd
that.
Be awesome.
That'd be sweet. Yeah. All right. And then the next one, this one actually is one of the bigger spikers right now. It's Pelt Collector. It's a 1-drop, 1/1. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, if it has greater power than Pelt Collector, put a 1/1 counter on it. As long as it has 3 or more counters on it, it has trample. So a 1 for a 1/1 is pretty crazy, but then adding counters every time you play something or something dies.
Yeah, the next turn it turns into a 2/2. And just like an example of how desirable this card is, like I went on to Cardsphere after Simic Ascendancy was revealed, and the first 6 parts of it were like Pelt Collector, and I was like, that makes sense. I'll probably hold. And, most of the time people are asking, like, I'll give you 70% of its worth. Everybody's was like 90, 89%. They wanted it.
Yeah. Well, so in this one as well, go for foils. The non-foils have already gone up to $4. The foils, I was able to get some for around $5 to $6.
That's a pretty good deal.
So you're only spending $1 or $2 more and getting foils with the potential of it jumping up even more. And I think let me pull that up just to make sure I have that right, because there's a couple of these where when they were released, at one point, I mean, of course its release date was at 20 and then it dropped down, but I mean it was at a good 12 to $10 for over a month or so before it's gotten down to $6 for foils. So if this actually gets used, you can see this card going a lot higher,
going back up to the 20-ish
yeah.
range.
So, all right, next one, Lowry. I like this one a lot too.
This one's from Kaladesh Block. Animation module. It's an artifact for one colorless. Whenever a +1/+1 counter is put onto a creature you control.
Permanent.
What?
Yeah, it says whenever it is placed on a permanent you control.
Weird. So you can pay one colorless
Yeah,
to put
weird.
a 1/1 servo.
That is weird.
That's super weird.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a 1/1 counter on my non-creature land. Like there are lands that turn into creatures that you could put 1/1s on.
But it would be a
it's still
creature at the time.
Yeah. What are you putting 1/1 counters on that isn't a creature?
That's weird. All right.
All right,
Keep
okay,
going.
so just in my mind, this is pretty cool because it works with
Maybe because we've had a lot of beer, we're not really thinking clearly. I'm just kidding.
just keep on blaming on that.
You reach for the beer that it's like.
No, mine's gone.
I know
so
you're wanting some more.
Evaporated.
We need the next episode to start.
So in my mind, you're in a 1/1 counter deck, and you're able to create more creatures that you can put more 1/1 counters
Right.
on. That feels really cool for really cheap and colorless.
And then it has a second ability of being able to put a counter on the tap 3, choose a counter on target permanent, and put another one on that.
Actually, I'd never
Or
even thought
player.
about. Like I never read that far because it's good enough without
Yeah,
that.
so
like,
the tap 3 and tap it, you can choose a counter on target permanent or player. So that makes more sense because
sure
any permanent can get an
energy.
extra counter.
You can put
Right.
another loyalty counter on your planeswalker.
Yeah, so then you can add more to that. But that is weird, the 1/1.
You can add more poison onto a player too. Yeah,
Lowry.
I don't like this card anymore.
Taking it off the list.
Take it off.
But we have the foil sitting at about $4. I did have a recent jump.
It's like $1.80 for non-foils. I think it could go either or.
Yeah.
This probably won't spike because of.
Because it's
just
not a
something that's
standard
working
one.
into
You're
it.
right.
It creates more and more
If
demand within it.
If we get a commander that's really good with the 1/1 counters, this could be something that one of the tools that it uses. Yeah. So, all right. Next one, and this one kind of the regulars have seen the spike, and that's kind of what initiated me to start looking into the 1/1 counter stuff. But it's Hadana's, right? Hadana's Climb. And this is from Rival, so this is in standard. It's one of the flip cards. And the front flip is... what is that? That's what I'm saying. These advertisements keep popping up on the side of my thing.
Damn Twitter.
Stupid Twitter. So it's a legendary enchantment, 1 green, blue. At the beginning of your combat, on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Then, if that creature has 3 or more counters on it, transform it, flip it over, and it becomes... Tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, or green, white, colorless. Tap it, target creature.
Green, blue, colorless. You said white.
Did I say white?
Yeah.
What is it? Let's redo that. Beer. It is a damn beer. These beers are pretty.
I know.
I feel like
we
floaty.
got the strongest one left.
That's gonna be a good episode next. 1 green and blue. Tap it. Target creature you control gains flying and gets X+X, where X is its power. So, but what I was saying is go for the foils on these bad boys. The funny thing is the regulars spiked up to 4. I was picking up the foils for $5. I know currently I was looking just before we started the cast, they were around 6. But I wasn't on TCG. That's just on Goldfish. So I think you could probably still pick these up for around $5.50.
Okay.
So you're paying $1 more, and the regulars spiked while these have seen an increase, but not necessarily a spike. They've only gone up like 50 cents since I bought mine. So I would look into these, especially. There's a thing about the flip card foils. I feel like they're
going to be more desirable, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think the flip card foils are going to be really cool.
Because you have double-sided
They'll
foil printing, which is pretty crazy. But
beautiful.
Got beautiful hair. All right, go ahead. Last one.
Since we just keep on kind of going, I was thinking of what puts mass counters on a bunch of creatures. Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. You can basically the part of it is you can -2 and put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control.
That'll help out a lot.
Again, with Simic Ascendancy, that can really help, and just in Commander that pumps your team.
The 01 they put in with your, well, that's white, but that making them a 4/4.
Sure, yeah, with
the one spec you had
can
earlier.
really help as well.
But I actually picked these up. This one. the foil one.
Yep.
When you do the duels one, you can get it for the exact same prices or cheaper than regular or non-foils.
I think anything. I wanted to get one of them. It was reprinted in a dual deck, so it might be tougher to go up a little bit. But good cards that put a 1/1 counter on everything will work really well towards that Simic Ascendancy type deck where you're trying to...
And it's a 3-drop Planeswalker.
Sure, yeah.
That's pretty good in all 3 abilities. I mean, even its ultimate isn't necessarily win the game, but it's really fucking good. You gain X life and draw X cards. Number of lands you control. Well, if it's late game...
You can be drawing a ton of cards.
Yeah. So, all right. And then the last one is kind of a combination. It's Pier, the Imaginative Rascal, and Tooth, the Imaginary Friend, which is from the Battle Bond set. I know I had this as one of my specs a while back. The foils really haven't gone up. They've actually gone down from when I bought mine, so I'm kind of losing on those right now. But
I think you're going to be fine.
No, I know. I bought them early thinking that, the lands were already spiking, but one basically does, if one or more counters will be placed on a permanent you control, put that many +1 on there, so that helps with the counters.
Kind of like a hardened scales a little bit.
And then the other one, every time
you draw a card, you put a 1
counter, and then when it dies, you draw that many draw that many cards for how many counters it has on it. So
both of them, like the easiest one right now is to look at 1/1 counters and go, what works with that? Because there's a ton of support out there.
And you got to look for green and blue.
Yeah,
because
and in green and blue.
Right, and so both of those are commander cards that work together. They're green and blue. But yeah,
but there are token things in white or black. In my mind, white has much more support for it, like Anointed Procession that was in Amonkhet. There's something Virtue. It's an enchantment that gives all your tokens +1/+1 in Vigilance. That might help out, but that's been reprinted a ton.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you could always go back to the doubling season and the parallel lives
you'd have
and
to be
all
in
that
green,
stuff.
White,
and
black, green at that point.
Right.
Probably.
Oh no, but I was saying more of the 1/+1 counter stuff.
Sure.
We could go that route, but we were kind of trying to pick some things that were more
could potentially go up
that weren't already really fucking expensive.
Generally, yeah, and we'll just go back to it. If you're seeing new stuff coming out, see what old stuff works with it, and you have potential for value to gain.
Oh, and by the way, those last two, Pier, you can pick up foils at $6, non-foils at $1.25. Toothy, you can pick up foils at $5 and non-foils at $1.25 too. So
cool.
Yeah. All right. So let's finish this episode up so we can start the next one. Holy shit, that is one of the longest episodes.
Thank you for sticking with us. The spoilers discussion was intense.
Yeah. There might be some things that might have been cut.
It might get cut.
If commons weren't discussed, that means we cut them. All right, where can people find us, Lowry?
You can find us on Twitter at CommanderSmiths. And
Gmail
us at CommanderSmiths.
And YouTube us
at CommanderSmiths.
And
that's probably how we should do it.
I like that. And subscribe, share, comment, all that fun jazz on there.
Yeah, if you enjoy it, make a comment, and we will do our best to interact with you.
And if Lowry's been playing cards wrong, just let us know so we can do another We Were Wrong segment. Those are always fun.
I really don't like this. I mean, yeah, if we're wrong, then, yeah, we definitely don't want to be giving out bad information. So.
All right, well, that should do it for this episode. You guys have a good Christmas, and we will check you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey, we got it right.
It's been a month.